Just do it!
Welcome to the Know, I'm Mica Burton.
And I'm Adam Ellis.
Heads up, console Overwatch players. Taking advantage of the master race setup might get you labeled as a cheater.
Overwatch's director Jeff Kaplan has come out strong against the use of keyboard and mouse in Overwatch on console, saying that he wants Microsoft and Sony to ban them from use altogether.
Now we've got a discussion on our hands about whether or not using a keyboard and mouse on console is cheating. Some are saying it's a fair advantage, while others are saying it's an unfair advantage.
All this commotion started over on Blizzard's Battle.net forum, where users started arguing in a thread about the spread of keyboard and mouse usage in higher ranks of online Overwatch competitive play.
Since the majority of console players are primarily using controllers, there's a pretty heated debate going on about whether or not making the switch to keyboard and mouse should be considered cheating. You know how these things go, it's usually 100% civil!
But then Blizzard shook things up by weighing in on the conversation, and it seems like Blizzard is on the side of saying that yes, mouse and keyboard is cheating when used on consoles, and if they could, they would high noon it out of existence.
Ouch. This comment came from Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan, who popped into the thread himself with Blizzard's definitive take, writing, "The Overwatch team objects to the use of mouse and keyboard on console. We have contacted both first-party console manufacturers and expressed our concern about the use of mouse and keyboard and input conversion devices."
He went on to say, "We have lobbied and will continue to lobby for first-party console manufacturers to either disallow mouse and keyboard and input conversion devices, or openly and easily support mouse and keyboard for all players."
So what he's saying is that he wants Sony and Microsoft to find a way to limit the use of keyboard and mouse when players aren't supposed to, or just make it so all games can easily support it.
Right now, Sony's stance on keyboard and mouse support leave it up to each individual developer to support it if they want. You can use a keyboard to navigate the main UI and certain menus, but actual game support is a bit more spotty.
At the moment, Microsoft doesn't really allow keyboard and mouse support at all, although Xbox boss Phil Spencer has indicated that we should be able to expect platform support for the control scheme sometime in the coming months.
At the moment, the way most gamers are making use of the keyboard and mouse in unsupported games is through third-party adapters and peripherals such as XIM and Cronus Max.
If you're wondering how big of a problem this is on consoles, you might actually be surprised. Just for Overwatch, there are a handful of threads on both XIM and Cronus Max's sites with over 100,000 views and thousands of replies, all featuring users talking about how to calibrate for the best settings.
So it's not just a tiny issue. However, many in Blizzard's forum insist that this is only something to worry about if you're competing in the top 500 players on each console. Still, many players disagree, stating that they shouldn't have to completely change their playstyle to compete in a space that isn't supposed to be using a keyboard and mouse setup.
Judging by Blizzard's strong stance on the matter, it certainly seems like it's a bit of a more common problem than you'd imagine. Kaplan popped back into the thread later to say that something like that would require a patch on Microsoft and Sony's end to disallow that type of hardware.
How likely is it that either of the first-party manufacturers will change this? At the moment, it doesn't seem like either one is going to fully move away from keyboard and mouse support.
For Microsoft, most of that has to do with Play Anywhere, as they put more of an emphasis on crossplay between PC and consoles. Lately, they've been challenging the idea of a keyboard and mouse versus controllers in a big way, most specifically in Gears of War.
A couple of months back, the company held an official weekend playtest that threw console and PC players together in competitive matchmaking just to see how well that would go over. At the time, Gears of War 4 did allow for crossplay between PC and console, but only in co-op settings.
Microsoft mostly wanted to see if the competitive gap was as high as people widely believe it to be, so they could take some steps for even more multiplayer crossplay in the future. And judging by the results, yes, the gap is big enough to make a difference.
However, they did just launch a new social quick play non-competitive playlist that now puts consolers and the master race together. So the experiment at least worked in that regard. PC players can go stomp on their console cousins whenever they want now, at least in an unranked way.
Back in November, YouTuber and Overwatch player DSP Stanky answered PC gamers who criticized his Lucio playstyle, saying he wouldn't be able to hold a candle to PC players.
So DSP Stanky set out in a crusade to prove the haters wrong, and he did, climbing all the way to 4,000 plus skill rating on PC in just over 2 days. His video showcasing his ascent was titled Vindication.
And as fun as that vindication was, it doesn't really settle the issue about keyboard and mouse versus a controller. At this point, it's pretty much common knowledge that keyboard and mouse do provide an advantage in terms of aim accuracy and speed.
But of course, that's not what's up for debate here. The debate isn't about whether or not keyboard and mouse gives an advantage, but if using them in a console environment is cheating.
One argument states that there are a number of different peripherals designed to give competitive advantages in general, like the Xbox Elite controller for instance. If one is okay for players to use online or in competitive settings, why not the other? Both give an edge to pro players.
One argument for keyboard and mouse as cheating is that there's an expectation on consoles that you won't be matched up with someone with a vastly superior control scheme. After all, using a controller is meant to to even the playing field in terms of skill.
Still another argument against it being labeled as cheating. More competitive players are wondering why player skill levels should be set and capped at the lowest common denominator. If you want to find the best Overwatch players, shouldn't it allow for all control schemes?
We're, of course, not going to be able to settle the debate right now, and it doesn't seem like the community will settle it anytime soon either. So what do you think? Is using a keyboard and mouse cheating in console play? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on Overwatch and PC versus console gaming, like this video and subscribe to the Know.
Or like that's cheating.
Well, I mean, just...
But we've got 2 people that don't.
It gives you an advantage,
It gives
but
you an
it's
advantage.
like...
An unfair advantage. I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely... I mean, it's an unfair advantage, but I don't think it's cheating.
It's your choice to play. Like, I can play with a controller on the PC.
Right.
It's my choice. I choose my play style. Like, all right.